Amy Fleming's departure has left Heartland fans in shock. For nearly 2 decades, she has been the face of the ranch, the healer of horses, and the soul of her family. Now, with her stunning exit, viewers are left asking themselves, what happens next? The question cuts deep because Amy wasn't just a character in a show. She was part of the very heartbeat that kept Heartland alive. Her absence feels less like a plot twist and more like losing a piece of the family we have grown up with. This is not just another storyline. This is a turning point that could shape the future of the series forever. To understand the weight of Amy's departure, we first need to look back at the road she has traveled. Amy Fleming began her story as a young girl thrust into responsibility after the tragic death of her mother. It was in that pain and heartbreak that Amy's gift truly began to shine. She had an extraordinary ability to connect with horses in a way that seemed almost magical. While others struggled to calm or heal them, Amy had a natural gift for understanding their fears, their strengths, and their wounds. This gift became the foundation of her life, shaping not only who she was, but also what Heartland stood for. From the earliest days, Amy carried the weight of her family on her shoulders. With her grandfather Jack's guidance and her sister Lou's support, Amy grew into a young woman defined by strength and compassion. She was never just a character in a story. She became a symbol of resilience. Every challenge she faced, whether it was financial struggles on the ranch, her complicated love life, or the loss of people she held dear, tested her spirit. Yet every time Amy found a way to rise, to keep going, and to pour her heart back into the ranch and the animals she loved. Of course, fans cannot forget the central love story that shaped Amy's journey, her relationship with Ty Borden. From the moment Ty arrived at Heartland, there was a spark. What began as a slow-burning friendship blossomed into one of the most heartfelt romances on television. Together, Amy and Ty weathered countless storms. They faced separation, danger, and heartbreak, but they always found their way back to each other. Their bond gave the audience hope, and their story became the emotional backbone of the series. When Ty tragically passed away, Amy's strength was once again tested, and the show shifted into a more somber but powerful chapter. Despite her personal losses, Amy's commitment to her daughter Lyndy and the ranch never wavered. She poured her energy into raising her child, honoring Ty's memory, and continuing the work that defined her life, helping horses heal and helping people heal through them. This was the Amy we came to know. Determined, empathetic, and brave, even when life seemed unbearably heavy. Looking back, it is clear why Amy has been the emotional anchor of Heartland. She represented more than just a role in the storyline. She embodied the values of love, family, and resilience. Her journey was one that mirrored the struggles of many viewers, which made her not only relatable but also inspirational. She reminded us that no matter the hardship, no matter the heartbreak, there is always a way to move forward with grace and determination. And now, as we face the reality of her departure, fans cannot help but feel the weight of all those years. Amy was not just part of the show, she was the show. When the news of Amy's departure broke, it didn't feel real. Fans stared at the screen in disbelief, waiting for a twist that never came. For years, Amy Fleming was the heart of Heartland, the one character who tied the entire story together. To see her suddenly gone was like walking into the ranch and finding it empty. The fields quiet, the horses waiting for a familiar voice that would never call to them again. It wasn't just another character exit. It was the unraveling of a legacy we thought would never end. The way the story unfolded made the shock even sharper. Viewers expected Amy to be there through every high and low, guiding the next generation, raising Lyndy, and keeping the ranch alive. Instead, we were left with silence, questions, and a heavy sense of loss. This was not the kind of departure you can easily move on from. When a character has carried a show for nearly 2 decades, their absence feels like a wound that doesn't heal quickly. What made Amy's exit so stunning was the sheer weight of her history. She wasn't a side role that could slip away quietly. She was the face of compassion, the voice of reason, and the soul that gave Heartland its warmth. Without her, fans felt unanchored, like the story had lost its compass. And because the writers chose to keep her exit so sudden, it left little room to prepare. making the goodbye even harder to process. The ripple effect was immediate. Online discussions exploded, with fans pouring out their emotions. Some expressed heartbreak, others confusion, and many questioned the future of the series itself. Could Heartland survive without Amy? Could the ranch carry on without the one person who symbolized everything it stood for? These weren't just questions about television. For longtime fans, they were personal. After investing so many years in Amy's journey, letting go felt impossible. But perhaps the most painful part of this departure was what it meant for the characters left behind. Jack, Lou, Georgie, and especially little Lyndy now have to walk a path without Amy's steady presence. That's where the shock cuts deepest. Heartland has always been about family sticking together, but this time, a piece of that family is missing, and it changes everything. In the end, Amy's stunning departure wasn't just about losing a favorite character. It was about losing the heart of a story that millions have leaned on for comfort and inspiration. It leaves us wondering how the show can move forward, and whether the spirit of Heartland can survive without the woman who defined it for so long. The moment Amy's departure aired, the internet lit up like wildfire. Social media feeds were flooded with posts from fans who couldn't believe what they had just seen. It wasn't quiet disbelief. It was raw emotion spilling out across platforms. Heartland groups, forums, and fan pages filled with words like shocked, heartbroken, and devastated. Many compared it to losing a close friend, while others admitted they had tears streaming down their faces as the realization sank in. One fan wrote, "Amy has been in my living room for half of my life. Watching her go feels like I've lost a family member." Another simply said, "Without Amy, this isn't Heartland anymore." Comments like these echoed everywhere, a chorus of grief and disbelief. For many, the ranch had always been Amy's world. To see it continue without her felt unnatural, like something essential had been pulled out from under the story. But heartbreak wasn't the only reaction. Almost immediately, theories began to form. Fans started asking big questions. Was this truly the end for Amy, or just the beginning of a new chapter? Could the writers be planning a dramatic return down the line, maybe in the series finale? Some pointed out past storylines where characters left only to reappear later, fueling hope that this wasn't a permanent goodbye. Others suggested that Amy's absence might be temporary, with the possibility of a guest appearance or cameo in key future episodes. Still, not everyone was optimistic. A large part of the fandom worried that Amy's departure meant the series itself was nearing its end. They wondered if the show could survive without its most beloved character, or if this was the beginning of a slow farewell for Heartland as a whole. "It doesn't matter what new storylines they bring in," one fan argued. "Without Amy, it's like Heartland has lost its soul." There were also debates about how the story should move forward. Some fans hoped to see Lou step into a bigger role, carrying the emotional weight of the ranch. Others wanted Georgie to return, believing she could carry on Amy's legacy. A few even welcomed the idea of fresh characters, new faces who might bring unexpected life to the show. But even in those discussions, Amy's shadow loomed large. Every theory circled back to her absence and the question no one could answer. Would Heartland ever feel whole again? This wave of reaction proved something powerful. Amy wasn't just a character in a script. She was the emotional anchor for millions of viewers. Her departure didn't just affect the storyline. It shook the community that had built itself around the show. Fans weren't just speculating about what comes next. They were grieving, hoping, arguing, and dreaming together. In many ways, the fan response became a story of its own, one filled with the same passion and heart that Amy always brought to the ranch. The future of Heartland now hangs in the balance. Without Amy, the series is forced into uncharted territory. For 18 seasons, Amy Fleming was the thread that tied every story together, from the struggles of the ranch to the triumphs of healing broken horses. With her gone, the biggest question is not just what happens next, but who can carry the weight she left behind. The first possibility lies with Lou. As the eldest sister, Lou has often been the voice of reason, the one balancing family duty with her own ambitions. With Amy's absence, Lou may be forced to step fully into the role of family matriarch. This could mean making the tough choices for the ranch, guiding Lyndy, and holding Jack's world together. But fans know Lou is different from Amy. Where Amy brought warmth and empathy, Lou brings practicality and strategy. This difference could either strengthen Heartland with a new energy or leave viewers feeling the gap even more deeply. Then there is Georgie. Many fans see her as the natural heir to Amy's legacy. She shares Amy's love for horses and has always been drawn to their spirit in the same way Amy was. A potential return for Georgie could give the story new life. A chance to honor Amy's influence while carving out a fresh path for the ranch. If Georgie were to take on a larger role, it would feel like Amy's torch being passed to the next generation, and that idea offers hope to fans desperate for continuity. Another possible shift is in the introduction of new characters. While longtime viewers may resist, fresh faces could bring unexpected storylines and conflicts that challenge the established family dynamic. This is risky, of course. Introducing someone new into a show so deeply rooted in tradition could either feel refreshing or completely out of place. The success of such a move depends on whether these new characters can earn the audience's trust in a world that has already lost its anchor. And then there is Lyndy, Amy's daughter. The show could take a bold step by focusing more heavily on her growth, weaving the narrative around the legacy Amy left behind. This would mean raising the stakes for the family as they rally around the young girl, helping her carry the spirit of her mother into the future. It's a storyline filled with emotional potential, but it also risks placing too much pressure on a child character to replace what Amy represented. As for the ranch itself, its fate feels uncertain. Heartland has always been more than just a backdrop. It's been a character in its own right. With Amy gone, will the ranch continue to thrive as the center of healing and family connection? Or will it begin to fade, mirroring the loss the family now feels? Ultimately, Season 19 faces a challenge like no other. The writers must decide whether to build a new chapter that honors Amy's influence or risk losing the heart that made Heartland what it is. For fans, the question isn't just about storylines. It's about whether the spirit of Heartland can survive without the woman who defined it for so long. When a character as central as Amy leaves a long-running series, fans are left with two sets of questions. One for the story itself, and another for the real world behind the cameras. On screen, it is heartbreak. Off-screen, it sparks speculation about the choices that led to this seismic change. And in the world of television, nothing this big happens by accident. Sometimes departures are personal. After nearly 2 decades of living inside the same role, an actor may feel the pull to explore new projects, take on fresh challenges, or simply step back from the constant demands of filming. Playing Amy for so many years required not just acting, but embodying a character who carried the emotional weight of an entire series. That can be rewarding, but it can also be exhausting. Fans often forget that while they see 1 hour of polished story each week, months of hard work, long shoots, and countless retakes go into creating that magic. Other times, the decision is creative. Writers and producers must constantly balance loyalty to the audience with the need to keep a show evolving. For Heartland, which has been on air longer than many series ever dream of, change is sometimes necessary to prevent the story from becoming predictable. Removing a central character, no matter how beloved, forces the narrative into new directions. It's a gamble, one that could reinvigorate the series or leave fans feeling alienated. Financial realities also play their part. Long-running shows often face rising production costs, from salaries to sets. The longer a series lasts, the more delicate the budget becomes. Sometimes, difficult choices are made not because anyone wants them, but because they keep the show alive. Could Amy's departure be part of such a decision? The truth may never be fully revealed, but fans are left to connect the dots. There's also the possibility of timing. In television history, some of the most iconic characters have exited not at the end of a story, but right in the middle of it. These decisions are rarely about one moment. They often come after months of private conversations, negotiations, and creative debates. What the audience sees as sudden has usually been building behind the scenes for quite some time. What makes Amy's exit particularly Striking is how it mirrors the industry's balancing act between tradition and change. Heartland is built on continuity, family, and legacy. Taking away its most central figure is a decision that doesn't just affect one season. It rewrites the future of the show. For the cast and crew, it means adjusting to a new rhythm on set. For the writers, it means crafting stories without the character who defined the ranch for nearly 20 years. For the fans, it means deciding whether to keep following a world that feels incomplete. At the heart of it, Amy's departure is both a creative risk and a human decision. It reminds us that television is not just about characters, but also about the people who bring them to life. And sometimes, those people have to step away, no matter how painful it feels to the audience. Picture Heartland without Amy. The horses still run through the open fields, the sun still sets behind the rolling hills, and Jack still walks through the barn with that steady determination. But something feels different. There's an emptiness in the air, a silence where Amy's voice used to be. For nearly 20 years, she was the heartbeat of the ranch, and now the story must go on without her. That image alone is enough to leave fans with a lump in their throat. The emotional weight of her departure lingers in every corner of the show. Jack has lost not only a granddaughter's presence, but the one person who carried Marion's legacy with the horses. Lou has lost her sister, her sounding board, the one who always grounded her when life became overwhelming. And little Lyndy has lost her mother's everyday guidance, her laughter, her calming hand on the reins. The ripple of Amy's absence doesn't just move through the family, it stretches out to the fans who have walked alongside her for nearly 2 decades. But here is where the story becomes more than just grief. This is also the beginning of something new. For Heartland to survive, the characters must evolve in ways they never expected. Lou may step fully into the role of leader, balancing the future of the ranch with the responsibilities of being the head of the family. Georgie, if she returns, may carry Amy's gift for connecting with horses and use it to keep the ranch's spirit alive. Even Lyndy, though still young, could become the symbol of hope for fans. The reminder that Amy's legacy lives on in every stride she takes. Still, no matter what comes next, Amy's absence will never stop echoing. And maybe that's the point. Heartland has always been about love, loss, and resilience. It's a story that reminds us that even when life changes in ways we can't control, the bonds of family and the lessons of the past carry us forward. In that way, Amy remains a part of the story, even if she's no longer on screen. As the series moves into season 19, fans are left with a bittersweet mix of hope and uncertainty. Will the ranch stand strong, or will it crumble under the weight of such a loss? Will the characters rise to the challenge, or will the shadow of Amy's departure prove too heavy? These questions hang in the air like storm clouds waiting to break, and it is this tension, this emotional cliffhanger, that makes the next chapter of Heartland one of the most important in its history. Heartland without Amy is not just a new season. It is a test of the show, a test of its characters, and a test of the audience's faith. And right now, all eyes are fixed on what comes next. Amy's departure has left a mark that no fan of Heartland will ever forget. For nearly 2 decades, she stood as the heart of the ranch, the voice of compassion, and the soul of the story. Now that she's gone, the future of the series feels uncertain, and every viewer is left holding their own questions, their own emotions, and their own hopes for what comes next. But Heartland has always been more than a show. It has been a shared journey, a community where fans across the world gather to celebrate love, family, and resilience. And that community is more important now than ever. This is where you come in. What do you think lies ahead for season 19? Will Lou rise as the new leader of the ranch? Will Georgie return to carry on Amy's legacy? Or do you believe that one day, Amy herself might come back, even if only for a final farewell? Your voice matters in this conversation. Share your thoughts, your theories, and your feelings in the comments below. Every opinion adds to the collective heartbeat of this fan community, keeping Amy's spirit alive in the story we continue to share together. If you've been moved by Amy's journey, if her departure left you with questions, or if you're simply curious about what's coming next, stay connected. Like this video, Subscribe for more deep dives into Heartland, and join the discussion as we explore every twist and turn of Season 19. Amy may have left the screen, but she hasn't left our hearts. And as long as fans continue to keep the spirit of Heartland alive, her legacy will endure. The story doesn't end here. It simply turns a new page. So now the question is yours to answer. Can Heartland truly move forward without Amy? Or will her absence become the moment that defines the rest of the series?